To call the meeting to order for the Palmdale Aerospace Academy. Roll call.
Nardi Lopez,
Here.
Alec McIsaac, here, Patrick Brophy,
Here.
Janet Simons,
Here.
and David Luhan.
Here. Good one.
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Julie, look, can we do the pledge of allegiance?
Yes, please stand. Right hand over your heart, ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have four people wanting to speak for agendized items. Could I have Ms. Cindy Carver?
Good evening. Generally speaking, at some point during the school year, I tell all my students that I will put myself between them and danger. I also tell them that I do this without hesitation. I believe that is what I'm doing here tonight. When I watched the recording of the October 25th special board meeting of PSD, I was a little proud and incredibly enraged. Proud that I have a coworker who is brave enough to do what many of us are afraid to do, admit that someone has taken predatory action against us. By doing this, she is trying to prevent this type of predatory action from happening to any other person on this campus. When she was finished and the PSD board didn't even pause to consider what she said, I became enraged. Does PSD think so little of me, an adult, that I deserve to be one of the 40% of women who are harassed in the workplace in the course of their career? If they don't care about me, fine. How can they, in good conscience, allow a predator to be around our students who range in age from teeny tiny TKers to the giant TKers or seniors? Sorry. I sincerely hope that the board tonight takes a stand that shows that predatory behavior is not a TPAA value. Thank you.
Thank you. Here is Josh Griffin.
Good evening. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Josh Griffith. I am the president of the Palmdale Aerospace Classified Association. I stand before you tonight to express PACA's strong opposition to the appointment of Everardo Trujillo to this board. One of the primary reasons the classified staff organized was the atmosphere of fear and distrust stemming from repeated changes in administration, the disruptive policies of each new administrator, and the troubling actions of this board over the past 6.5 years. Despite these challenges, we've recently begun to turn a corner. Stability, transparency, and earnest commitment to including classified staff in the decision-making process are beginning to repair the years of damage and mistrust. Appointing Mr. Trujillo to this board would be a significant step backward. His controversial past at other school districts, coupled with multiple complaints of harassment lodged against him while at TPAA, represent a direct threat to the progress we've worked so hard to achieve. Allowing him to assume a position of authority over the very employees he has harmed is both morally indefensible and deeply damaging to the integrity of this board. Every employee deserves a workplace free from harassment, ridicule, and belittlement. A workplace built on respect and professionalism. To appoint someone with such a controversial and harmful history undermines the culture of trust we are striving to rebuild. The recent positive changes to our board and administration present a unique opportunity to continue fostering collaboration, improving employee conditions, and creating an environment of mutual respect. This progress is fragile, and allowing Mr. Trujillo to serve on this board risks undoing it all. I urge you to prioritize the well-being of your classified employees. Protect the culture of trust we are rebuilding, and make a decision that reflects the values of fairness, accountability, and respect. For these reasons, I ask that you reject this appointment. Thank you.
Juan Garcia.
Hi, my name is Bonnie Garcia. I'm general counsel for the Palmdale School District. And I'm here to talk to you on the matter of the removal because Mr. Trujillo has already been appointed by the Palmdale School District. And to note, maybe it's a customary thing or whatever, but your item 13 has approval of the appointment of Dennis Trujillo. He's done. He should be here already. The Palmdale Board appointed him per your bylaws. Your approval doesn't matter. You can remove, but your approval is not appointed. If you told Mr. Trujillo not to be here because he had not yet been appointed, he should be sitting there and he should be part of the majority of the board. So that's another issue. With respect to Mr. Trujillo, I had not wanted to take a moment to it, but obviously a hit job is being done on him as far as the district's concerned. I have 40 years of experience in this area and I've seen this over and over and over again. When somebody we don't like comes up, well, we take every allegation that's been made, not proven, made over the years, we do a hit on him. With respect to Mr. Trujillo and why the district appointed him, your financial situation, your business office is out of control, has been missing deadlines, asking us for waivers, having the district sign off or being asked to sign off on your fiscal well-being, which we have not been able to do in good conscience. We thought, we have concerns, also concerns over your governance, but that's another issue. Let's put our people in. We're entitled to do 3 appointments. Mr. Dennis Trujillo is one. Lalo Trujillo is another, because we have concerns specifically in the fiscal area and wanted to have a non-adversarial, okay, put our guy in there. If he's okay and he's getting information, we're good. See you later, okay? But if you guys are gonna do a hit job on him, if you guys haven't been giving us the data, the information we've offered to do an investigation, that tells us you're hiding something, or we're suspicious that you're hiding something. Okay, you have the power to remove, but let me tell you what we have the power to do. Your renewal is coming up. In fact, you've submitted the documents. There's some information you need. We have the absolute right to appoint a monitor. So either you can have Mr. Trujillo there, or you're gonna get a monitor as a condition of approval. I'll leave it to you to think about who we might be putting in that position. Quarterly, requiring you to have a plan to make sure those fiscal issues, your accounting issues, your compliance issues are taken
Thank you,
care
sir.
of.
Thank you.
Right.
Mr. Manny Lopez.
Come before you all as a student on campus, not representing ASB in any shape, form, or capacity. I am proud to see the board taking action to remove a sexual harasser from their board because it is disgusting and unacceptable to have someone in such nature on campus, let alone on campus with minors. As the only boy of 5, being the 4th oldest child, someone with a past of his is truly sickening, no matter the acts. Sexual harassment is unacceptable and disgusting. As a student, I do not feel comfortable knowing someone like him was even given the chance to be here. I thank the board of directors for taking action to protect our students, staff, and community members who enter our campus. And it is sickening to know that someone would defend someone of his nature to come up here and say such things, say alleged, whatever it may be, even if it was alleged. If that is the language they use to defend their employers, and if a minor from their school district came and said something, and that is the language they use to defend their staff, that is absolutely sickening. And I'm proud of you guys for taking the step to protect us, because obviously their district cannot do the same for their own. Thank you.
We have staff reports. They get the Director of Special Education and Student Services.
So, have a number of things to celebrate, so we'll lighten the limit after that, a little bit, but, we completed our fall one reporting, today. We are ahead of schedule by a couple of days. Fall one is one of the largest reporting periods in the school year, so a lot of work went into it. I'd like to thank Maddie Pizzo just for the amount of work she put in, just, making sure all the things are taken care of data wise, correcting all the corrections we need to have done and getting everything taken care of and up to the stage for Friday. So that was fantastic. And also proud to be representing the Palmdale Aerospace Academy at the System Improvement Leads Attendance Summit this upcoming Friday. We will talk about our SIM process, compliance, improvement and monitoring that we are under with the state of California for special education. How we've moved ourselves from an organization that was in significant disproportionality, have moved us through intensive and now we're in targeted too. So that's there was a tremendous amount of work that was done by the team. And on Friday, I get to spend time with our SIM technical advisor from the CDE that helped us with that. Because we will be an exemplar of how to understand our students, our parents, how we got our parents' voice and student voice to kind of move forward, especially when it comes to making sure that we have students with attendance and chronic attendance issues. We have moved, the dashboard was posted on the 1st of December. Our special education students have moved from a 50% chronic absenteeism rate to a 36%. That is a tremendous amount of growth in the span of the school year. So 14% was well above our goal that we had at 8. We were supposed to hit 42 based on our current SIM plan. We're ahead of that. There's a tremendous amount of work that's still left to be done, but I have to shout out to the teachers and the administrators that are really doing a great job and having the conversations with parents and being positive forces inside their classrooms. I also want to share my appreciation for the special education teachers who have volunteered and are doing the progress monitoring for those students who are currently uncovered because of staff shortages. They have done a tremendous job making sure that our parents are informed of the progress of their children when it comes to their IEPs. So I can't thank the staff that's doing that for us enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. Director of Educational Services.
Good evening, everyone. Our Youth Truth Annual Survey went out to all staff, all 3rd through 12th grade students and our parents. Got that survey. It is open December 2nd through December 20th. And we've had a good amount of people that have already submitted that. We still have a week and a half to finish that. So that's coming in. We'll get all that information, share that with the schools and with that. And I am very excited to share with you. Every 2 weeks, we meet with an ABC lady named Rosalind. She's in charge of the dual enrollment. Myself, Ms. Oline, and high school counselors and high school administration. And I am proud to say that this coming spring semester, we are going to get 3 classes at the dual enrollment with ABC. One will be Econ 101, Principles of Microeconomics. One is Music 103, the history of rock and roll, which is exciting for me. And both of those 2 will be online courses where the students will take them at home. And English 101, English composition, that's going to be an 8-week course, and that will be on campus. It'll be Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4 o'clock to 7:15 in person. So we're excited to offer those 3. And we are in a waiting to hear from the math department. We're trying to get, Rosalind is pushing on this one, help us with the math department. For 2 math courses, Math 135, which is plain trigonometry, and 140 calculus. Also Math 110, which is one of the basic classes in there. So we have a chance for those 3, but we're going to get those other 3. So that's exciting for us.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Schatz.
Oh yeah, we're hoping for a poli sci. That one's
We'll set on record we want you to.
we're pushing for that one too.
Thank you. Director of Facilities, Maintenance and Operations.
Good evening, board. During the Thanksgiving break, our facilities team did a lot of improvements on our campus, inclusive of power washing some of our more critical areas. Really making sure we're clean for our student and staff return. Additionally, I know you all remember this name, the litter cat, that when we all approved. it has pulled up so much metallic material that even blew our mind, and we were the ones asking for the product. We'll show visual demonstrations next time, but I mean, everything from about 50 bobby pins, nails, ends of pins, the metallic clips. This is exactly why we needed it, because the athletes are students on this field. So it's part of our preventative maintenance plan now. And I wanted to thank you again for that support and that device. Lastly, we're on track to start our audio and visual system upgrades within our 2 gyms and middle school, high school amphitheater. We are expected that construction to start and complete during while the students are off on their break. So less interruptions to education, less interruptions to our athletes and our physical education departments. Within our IT world, we're excited that we're embarking on a new educational partnership with ABC Unified School District. They are a leader in AI education policies and initiatives. As a STEM-focused unit, STEM-focused school, we want to make sure we're at the forefront of this technology and we can lead our students and our staff to appropriate ethical ways to utilize it. So we're thankful for that partnership, Ms. Gina, Ms. Lynch introduced us to, and we're taking advantage of it. Lastly, within our wonderful food services department, they're introducing 2 new meals they would like us to promote. The chicken pasta salad, as well as the sweet and sour chicken wrap for the month of December. They're continue to offer a new enriched variety of meals to try to listen to student feedback. For the students in the crowd and listening, continue to use that survey that's QR coded across the campus because they are listening and trying to adapt. Thank you, board, for all your support for classified services.
Thank you. Director of Health Services.
Good evening, board. I just have a very short update. Dr. Sullivan and I were able to meet with the Wellbeing Center staff this afternoon and with 13 peer health advocates that are enrolled in the program. They talked to us about some concerns they had on campus. In addition to the tabling they've been doing, they have a focus on prevention. So they focus on drug prevention, awareness, suicide prevention, healthy and safe relationships. So they've been doing a lot of learning, getting certifications themselves so that they can help their peers. It was a very interesting meeting and I found them very respectful and engaging. Just a nice group of young people that are looking forward to going out and engaging with their peers. Okay, and just to give you an update on the Wellbeing Center, to date from August this school year to December 3rd, they have seen 2,212 high school students in that Wellbeing Center for all those reasons that I just mentioned, and 4,459 middle school student visits. So quite a bit, and they're really looking to help the students grow social emotionally, and I think it's a good asset to our campus. And I want to thank you for your support at Wellbeing Center.
Thank you.
And we didn't have the CBO report on there because Roseanne's our Zua in her first full week. And so we don't want to put her on the spot. But did you want to say?
I can
Okay.
say something. I'm not going to say much because there's going to be a presentation tonight, but the business office has been working diligently to present the first interim numbers this evening.
So the item before us is a consent agenda. We're gonna open that up for discussion.
I do have a question on, for the tracking. For the document tracking services item, which is, under Superintendent B. It's the dollar amount being, it's more than the 1146, right? Or am I, because looking at it, there's, at the agreement, it says that there's a $200 per standard document and $850 for customized. So is that included in that cost or projected in the cost,
So
or?
customized is what they charge if you like get translation services, or they have to, if they do a document for they do some work to it, then they pay extra for that.
Okay, so is the amount,
Have the,
so should the amount that we would be approving be greater than this exact amount to allow for that expense if necessary?
I think,
Or-
we approved the subscription so we can have it, and then we would come to you if we need add-ons. That's typically what I've done in the past.
I don't know if in the future, maybe
Yeah, we don't.
having that, so that it doesn't have to come back every single time for
Right.
$200 or $850. I mean, I don't know the rest of the board. I would be okay with that including, not to
Not to
exceed
exceed.
amount so that it doesn't cause the having to come back for that amount. And then I do have, are we gonna do it by item or?
Oh, no.
should I go?
You forgot.
I know I brought this up before for the purchase order, but I just want to be clear when I'm looking at this. So if we look at the purchase order and we look at under November 18th, there's the PO for American Business Machines. I know that last time that I asked this question, it's the same amount. There's two charges, the exact same amount, same PO, etc. And it says high school, but then if you go to the last page, it shows the exact same amount. Different PO on this, but it says secondary school. And it's charged twice for each one. So is it,
Business services.
That one, I don't know in detail,
I do.
but I know.
What it is they share toner, that's actually print services, and because again, this is the first year that we split our middle school and high school budget. You'll notice that the account stream code, the very last 3 digits, the account stream codes differ because one is specifically coded to the middle school and one is to the high school. And they split because they are in the same office, they split the toner cost. It's a pain for us as well, but it's the way that we're keeping track between the middle school and the high school. And unfortunately, when the PO comes, it comes as one. But there's 2 account stream codes and the last 3 numbers will differ based on whether it's middle or high school. That's why you're seeing 2 charges.
so. I'm sorry, is it 2 charges for each school? Because it's the identical, it's duplicated charges for both the high school and the secondary. It's not split. I guess I
It's a
showed
total
Gina.
amount.
after.
The total amount divided 50%, so it'd be the exact amount under each.
Correct, but they're both coded for the high school and then they're coded for the secondary. So it's not, how do I explain it? It's,
So Ms. Lopez, if you look at the numbers on the second column, the PO number, they're different numbers. And they're saying that there's different string codes they use to pay, so different accounts, so I have to list them all because they're separate expenditures.
Yes.
it's the same PO number.
Is it, it's the
Well-
toner, right?
Is it toner?
The high school is different than the middle school, than the one on the second page.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe I can show you, later. Maybe I'm confused, but I was just wondering why that is.
So if it's the toner, those would, I mean, they're duplicated, they have the same PO number on there, like on the first page.
It's the same PO number and it's for the high school, and then the next page, the second page, it's the same PO number for the secondary school, but it's the same charge twice. So that's my question, but we can look at it later. And the last one, that was my question, because it was multiple times, so I just want to make sure people don't interpret that like the duplicate chart is being duplicated.
Any other question?
No, I'm assuming that the amphitheater costs, there's 2 costs on the not identical amounts, different amounts, the same day, same PO. That is because it was processed differently. I guess if we see on the same day of charge, I guess my question is, why wasn't it just a complete amount? And there's 2 to the same vendor.
That I can answer as well.
Okay.
It's because one is being funded through our ELLP program because it's being done on our elementary side. We're using our ELLP funds, and the other one was being done under our ESSER program. So that's why you see it same vendor, but again, same PO, but it's split funded because of how we're using those funds specifically.
Thank you. That was mine. And I think that, anything else on that?
Any further questions?
So I question the IXL item, I mean, I like seeing, so
it's a $40,000 expense. I like seeing the numbers there that, you know, was 2,100 hours used, and so it's like about an hour a kid being used. Are we getting benefit out of this? Are we ever using this? I mean, when I'm looking at an expense right there, that's that $40,000 range. I think this is a lease or soul line, right?
Yeah.
What are we using to judge that if this costs of $40,000 a year to be used 2,100 hours, like an hour a kid on average? What's to justify that?
Okay, so actually on this one is we're wrapping around a little bit. We're closing in a semester, so it's actually gonna be 1.5 years for that. We're looking at it's used for math intervention. All students have access on the secondary site and they should be using it. I know a lot of the math teachers use it almost daily for warm-ups and everything for IXL. On the elementary side, 3rd grade to 5th grade are using it for their intervention teams for both English and math.
But if the numbers here are saying 2,100 hours used, if they're using it, are they really using it every day, or those hours not being captured?
They count them by minutes and then they just aggregate them all together. So we're looking at some teachers may not be using it every single day, while some other teachers may be using it more excessively. It also includes times when they do their initial assessment, which when they're doing the IXL initial assessment, that ranges per grade level between like 30 minutes and 50 minutes. So that's another additional assessment that all students will be taking in there as well.
So have they been doing that before on this item?
Yeah.
Okay, but if I'm looking at that many hours, I don't see how that, is it just not being captured in our hours, or why, what's the disconnect there?
They can also do it from home, so they have access to it at home as well.
Does it capture the home hours in this?
Yes, because it's by their own individual student logins.
So 2,100 hours
And we're
total, including the homework.
Yeah. And so we're looking at not below 3rd grade, so you're looking from 3rd to 5th. And then in math for all of your math students. And then keep in mind, not all grade levels, not all your students have math classes. So that not all students at high school will be accessing that as well.
So I guess, oh. You want to chime in?
I just want to say, it's an intervention, so it's not every single student's been using it all the time. It is used as an intervention. And I think Mr. Schatz did a presentation on all the software that we have where it showed the number of hours for the year. And so the purpose of that document was at the end of the year to see what's our return on investment with it. So we will be looking at that time to see what we can cut or not cut. So this is part of just renewing it so we can see this year.
Do we know how many hours a person should be using IXL? I like if to be, I mean, how many throughout a school year or something like that to provide value?
The way I've seen it done is it's, you're in class, you're doing whole class activity, you do independent work, students need some extra time, they maybe spend 10-15 minutes on IXL. You don't want to spend a whole lot of time on the computer because you want the direct instruction, or at home maybe for additional support.
Yeah.
But when it's used for intervention, what I've seen is that they're doing it in rotating groups, and so kids will be working on IXL for like maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and they rotate to a person to person. So it's more adding to the curriculum than it is like a curriculum that should be hours and hours and hours, because we don't want that either.
Yeah. I saw online, it was like an hour for the initial assessment, and then they said like 10 to 15 problems a week, so I'm like a half hour a week. So I'm thinking like it could be 15 hours a year for a kid using this, and then, but then I would expect to see numbers similar to this. Are we gonna look at this in the future? I mean, it's a big expense here. I mean, overall, it's like,
Yeah.
I know, ESSER funds coming out, and like, there's gonna be cuts eventually, or looking at where money's coming from. That's a big annual expense there. What do we use to measure, or are we
Right.
doing that in the future?
Right, and we need to have data around, is it improving, student, is it improving what they're learning? But also our academy-wide leadership team is going to be looking at our tech plan and then looking at some of that software. So you kind of have to see all year who's using it, how's it being used, how effective is it? But you can't pinpoint like that's the program that increased students' learning. It's like the whole program,
It sounds like there's more
Yeah, it's an
overall to
add-on.
come.
It's not a correct, it's an add-on piece. We have many districts that use it and it's usually used as an intervention, so it's not all students.
I have a question following Mr. Brophy's. So I know that we discussed the tech plan, right? The committee, I think that they're gonna be looking at all the software. Is it if not approving this would prevent the continued use of this until that tech plan and all that is considered in, I'm just thinking
Yeah,
like.
we have students currently using this that need it for intervention, so not including that right now won't go to the
Impact.
students.
Okay.
It would have an impact.
Oh,
yeah, you may.
Thanks. I think also it helps when we're looking at the technology that we're using to continue to utilize programs that we are in need of for intervention and stuff like that, until we are such a time as we're prepared to determine what's working, what's not working. So,
And it is hard to tell, is this one program the piece that's changing things, or is it? Return on investment is hard with software, but you can see usage. You see two people using it. I know that we have cut some programs together. So we look at that.
Okay. I'm happy enough.
Any other questions? No? Could I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as is.
All in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda passed. Okay. For discussion, none, informational presentations. All right, before us is a transforming school culture, elementary campus.
Yes.
Tonight, I appreciate it from the elementary school. I'm gonna get this wrong. So transforming school culture audit, elementary school. I'm presenting tonight, but this audit took place. Louder, sorry. This audit took place, the fourth week of school that we started, so around, or no, maybe it was September, around September 5th. So right now, we're going to be looking, oh yes, September 5th and 6th. We're rated on a 4-point rubric for 7 indicators. Okay, so I'm gonna go over those 7 indicators here. How do we do at the elementary school? Well, we actually did really good, and so we're really proud of what we're gonna present tonight. So on the first one, school culture, it supports a safe, orderly, and equitable learning environment for the school, and we had a 3.5 out of 4. These numbers are based off of a survey that was given by our auditor, Alec McNeesey. He came from Solution Tree, and he had me bring in so many new teachers, so many tenured teachers and classified staff, school counselors, our instructional coach, and as well as campus supervisors, just a small population from everybody that works at the elementary. So then for school creates experiences that foster the belief that all children can learn at high levels was 2.5 out of 4. So right now, it's really important that we look at the fact that we're creating an environment where all the students can learn, and we're really focusing on students learning at a higher level. So that's going to be a different level for all students, but we're working on creating interventions through the PLC process to foster that belief that all children can, and helping the students believe that they can reach those higher levels as well. So 4.4, teachers hold high expectations for all students academically and behaviorally, and this is evidenced in our practice. So we're very happy that we have a 4.4 on that one. So we're very excited about that. 4.4 out of school has established traditions and experiences which reinforce high academics and behavioral expectations. 3 out of 5 teachers communicate regularly with families about individual students' progress. This one is 3 out of 5. There's evidence that students' achievement is publicly celebrated, displays of schoolwork and assemblies. So at an elementary school, you know that we're constantly putting stuff all over the walls in the classroom as well as outside the classroom. To also, not just to show artwork, but to also display students' achievement. So when we take benchmarks or formative assessments, then we have areas where we have the kids fill out little cards so that they can show how many points that they went up to the next level of learning for the benchmark that they took or the assessment. And the last one is 2.5. Our school provides support for physical, cultural, social, economical, and intellectual needs for all students, which reflects a commitment to equity and diversity.
So key findings for the elementary school, they rated us on 4 different areas. One of them was communication. The auditor said that overall, our perception was high on communication. I had earlier surveyed the students not the students, the teachers, to find out what was their best form of communication, because I know that communication is very important, but I also wanted to honor and respect the fact that teachers are in the classroom, so I can't be expecting them to be chatting me and emailing me and stuff when we're expecting them to be giving instruction time. So we had discussed this. So at this time, since we already discussed it, then they were feeling really positive and they had let me know the communication methods that they wanted to be communicated by. We did have lower scores for more experienced staff, higher scores for understood the current, high score was understanding our current focus and vision. So that reveals that everybody's on board with our focus and vision at elementary school, as well as TPAA as well as an academy. Our lowest score was stakeholders' involvement in current focus and vision. So right now, with the lowest score, some of the stakeholders, we got a little bit of a late start. This was at the beginning of the year, so we were a late start with some of like our goals for our leadership team and other things that hadn't got started yet. So they were explaining that process, so. Trust was another area that we had been evaluated on. Scores were consistently high. The highest rating was leadership will implement school vision as articulated. Newer colleagues feel comfortable asking for help. Some variation in the level of trust and connection between grade level teams. In the trust area, I want to look at the last two real quick. Newer colleagues feel comfortable asking for help. A lot of our new teachers, well, actually all of them, I had 6 new teachers start this last school year. And they were very happy to express to us, as well as our auditor, that many staff members had come to their room and asked them if they could help them set up their classroom. If there's anything that they needed, they would help get things for them, and they volunteered to not only their time, but also resources to make sure that they felt that they were ready for school when it started. So I was really happy for the support. We say over at the elementary school, I think Mr. Shaw started saying that the teamwork is the dream work, him and Angie, so. So that's what we say, teamwork is the dream work. Some variation of level of trust and connection, the last one between grade level teams. This refers to the fact that some of the grade level, so when you have like kindergarten and first grade might say, well, you know, when we just got your kindergartners, we wish that they knew all their numbers 1 through 25, and they mostly were stuck at like 18. And, you know, second grade was saying, well, maybe first grade, they didn't understand certain concepts in science and ELA. So what we did after we received this audit was the first part of October, after we received it, or middle October. Well, actually, I think it was before the audit, but I'm not for sure. I had heard some of this from some of the grade levels that they feel like they needed to be on target for next school year. So we did conduct meetings to help support this area of trust, where kindergarten met with first met with second, and so forth. So they met back and forth so that they could express some of the things that they wanted the grade levels to really focus on, so they'd be ready for the next school year. So we're going to continue that work also through our MDSS consultant is going to continue to work on some grade level teams and making sure that there's the cross grade level teams also have that value and trust. The last two was capacity building. Overall perception, this was our lowest area for capacity building. We needed more structured training for newer teachers. I know that we did have like a little training boot camp at the beginning of the school year. Some of the new teachers expressed that they would like to have more training. Instructional aids, which we have had several PDs since then, so that's added a lot of training so far. Instructional aides expressed a desire for more training, which I've been working actually with instructional aides, that when we have their team meetings, that a component isn't just for, you know, us to go and talk about just the things that we think are working or not working, but to provide training for them, like for PBIS, as well as capturing kids' hearts, and also working on them through the PLC process, the professional learning community, as we develop them further with the grade levels. The grade level team meetings are focused on curricular decisions and support for implementation. So we're going to take that further, where grade level team meetings are focused more on not just discussing the curriculum, but how can we use our data to further our intervention process. And the last one was accountability. The scores here were notably positive. Highest rated was high expectation for performance for all school employees. The TPAA way and be the best version of yourself serves as a communicated accountability, reinforcing the collective standards within the school community. Intervention strategies are implemented inconsistently was one thing that was expressed. So we've been working on the teams to make sure that we're really focused on our data and that we are not inconsistent with any of our intervention strategies as well as what we are using in our intervention instruction. The overall summary, bright spots, students are delightful. Yes, they absolutely are. I can definitely witness that our elementary school students are delightful. Clear that students are interacted with in a way that promotes the curiosity and interest in learning, and the norms of learning from the starting bell are among the best auditor had witnessed. Mr. McNeese did express this to me, that he said that he was so happy to see that on a Friday, that the norms for learning started immediately as soon as the students walked in the classroom, and he said that he had never seen that high of level at any school, and he said he had been to hundreds in the United States. So that made us really proud to see that, and I know that that is what happens at the elementary school, so we're really happy to hear that, and so it really blessed my heart. And the summary overall areas for our growth is our data analysis to drive school improvement, training on grade level collaboration, best practice, and artifacts from the leadership team were scarce. So the things that we want to look at through this, I'm going to share some of our goals to make sure that we are addressing all of these things, as well as, like I said, we have already started on the grade level collaborations. What are we planning to do with this information? We're continuing to build our professional learning community and make sure that it's a mindset. A professional learning community is just that, it's a community. And so the elementary school, as well as TPAA as a whole, is a professional learning community. So when you walk in the building, you just don't enter an academy, you enter a professional learning community. So I've expressed to my team that they just put that mindset on that when they come to work, that's what we're there to do. And so we're there for the students. That's what our community is based on. The second thing is involve classified staff in PLC process. All of our classified staff are involved in interventions. So we want to make sure that they're part of our professional learning community, that they put on the same mindset, and that they're also involved in making sure that we serve our students with the best intervention and instructional practice that we can. And the last one is improve student engagement and differentiating instruction by improving our core instruction time so that we are giving the best direct instruction that we can in all of Antelope Valley. So at the end, through this process, how are we going to begin to address our issues and improve our audit to create a better environment for our students? We're going to do that through our professional learning community, culture through work with Jen Miner, and develop a guiding coalition team, which we have spent the last 2 days with Jen Miner. Valuable information. I want to say it's the best work that I have done in my whole education career. I love working with her, and I'm super excited about this. Also, we're going to work with our MDSS consultant. She's been working with our new teachers through coaching cycles, as well as she's going to start working with our grade level teams, our teacher mentors, our instructional coach, professional development, and instructional accountability. And work with our instructional coach and grade level teams to involve instructional aides in our professional learning community culture so that they know what they need to know to serve our students and to educate our students. Thank you for your time. Do you have any questions?
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have a question. Who was included in, did they go to several classrooms? What was the process?
So he, like I said, he had me bring, I don't remember the exact numbers. I think he asked to see 2 teachers that had taught under 2 years. two teachers that had taught between like 6 and 11 years, two teachers that had taught 11+ years. He wanted to talk to the instructional coach, he wanted to talk to a counselor, he wanted to talk to instructional aides. So I just started pulling those people that he spoke to, and then he asked for the whole staff to be surveyed. So I actually created a meeting. For both the instructional aides, all of our campus coaches and all of our teachers and all the ones that were present completed that survey that day. And I did escort him through all of the classrooms at the end of the day. And he made a comment, not to toot my horn and Miss Alvarado's, but he said that when I walked in the room that nobody flinched, and that our presence in the room, he knew was an everyday thing, even though I just met him, because he said that he'd never seen admin walk in the room, that most people weren't being like, shh, 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 you know, like that. And he said that he knew that they knew who we were. And that made me I'm just gonna admit, it made me super proud that he knew somebody that I just met, that we have a community. We have formed a community. That's what I went through that day. Any other questions about that?
No, I was just interested to see how many, sometimes, I mean, we go through different organizations, right? We do different surveys or engagement with staff, and sometimes it's hard to get input. I was just wondering how much participation was engaged to get to those results.
Well, you talked to between 12 and 15 people in person, including myself, and then we surveyed, I would say with the amount of people that were there, that he received between 70 and 80 surveys that he left.
Okay, great. And is that the person that's gonna continue doing the work that you mentioned, or?
He
it's
was,
some-
that was Dr. Alex McNeese. Jen Miner is the one they're from Solution Tree, but Jen Miner is the one that's doing the PLC training with us and helping us work on creating a guiding coalition. And there's gonna be more to come for that. But yeah, this was kind of just the start of that whole process, so we could see where we're at as individual schools as well as academy as a whole.
And what would or is the guiding coalition gonna be comprised?
So the guiding coalition, from what we have is like leadership teams, and we would like to, a lot of us may start new guiding coalition, or we may integrate those together. And within that process, what we want to do is we want them to be where we really just fold out the professional learning community. And the PLC process has a lot to do with, there's like 4 questions, and I'm nervous, I'm not gonna remember.
Oh, no,
But I mean, it's just taking those questions, bringing kids to higher levels of learning and doing formative assessments. And then, you know, if they don't do that, what are gonna be our interventions? If they exceed that, how are we going to actually create a learning environment where they're enriched?
Okay, awesome. And my questions are all just to be informed. I think I believe it's very important to include, you know, these processes in addition to the curriculum, right?
Yes.
To continue growing and evolving and seeing what's working, what's not, and to grow. And I think it's so important for the staff, right? The teachers and all that, to have a belonging of, because that's what makes things work, right? Trust and communication and working together. So that's where my questions derive from, just to see, you know, the engagement and all that. I look forward to seeing, right, the evolution of this and how it continues to improve and strengthen the school. Thank you.
I need to, thank you. Any other questions?
All right, board, before we move on, we're gonna remove item number 9, the student organization and equal access. And we're gonna remove number 18, the student organization equal access. From the agenda. It's gonna be brought back to the board in January. So please remove that. So now transforming schools culture, middle school, Mr. Langford.
All right, good evening. So thank you for the opportunity to share the middle school feedback in terms of the school culture audit. So I did it a little differently. We also had the audit conducted at the beginning of the year. Teachers were provided with the document. They had a chance to actually go through, kind of give feedback, And then they had an opportunity to work on it as a department to actually provide additional feedback. Then we came into this room and actually we went around and looked at the feedback that we'd received from the auditor, identified specific strengths. We looked at areas of focus, and then we identified, and we're still working on that. I kind of identified actions after each one of the indicators. So that's how we structured the feedback for our lesson. So school culture supports a safe and orderly and equitable learning environment. So the strengths here, you know, our middle schools, and actually this was one of our higher areas. This was a 3.5 rating. So he got us on a good day. So for our middle school students, you know what, this year, I think that they're still grappling and still adjusting. Middle school is actually an interesting time for students as they're growing up, hormones are changing. So we've had some adjustment issues in terms of middle school students, in terms of really navigating the school, navigating classes, navigating each other. And so we looked at, what is happening here? And some of the strengths that we've had to look at, we've had to go back. We've had to talk to our middle school students about what it means to be a student here. How do we work and support them? And we also identified that some of our problem areas really were taking place during our breaks and lunch. And so we had to make sure that we provided them something to do. So one of the things that we called out is how do we make sure that when students are outside, there are meaningful things for them to do. So we actually designated, we sent out something to our parents and our communities to invite students to bring games and those types of things to school. So when they're out during break, they have something to do. So having designated areas for students to work during their breaks so that they can kind of relax. They still can choose, they have choice, but we still want them to do something as opposed to just kind of aimlessly, just kind of moving around. We want them to actually be focused, because when they do that, we found that sometimes things happen. So we tried to cut that out. Classes, we've actually picked up and really make sure that we want the students to be in class on time. So we do conduct tardy sweeps. So that's something that we work on. And then we do have our 5-star system. And then we look at how do we reward and acknowledge students for just being where they need to be. Our teachers did acknowledge that when we looked at, we have a number of not only new teachers, but we do have a number of subs in middle school. You know, we have about 5 substitute teachers. Of the 4 STEM, 2 of them are subs. Of the 3 science, one is a sub. And so we're looking at how do we provide them additional support so that they're successful. We have subs that are actually interested in coming in and helping us with our STEM. So we're looking at how we can actually set up lessons for them and actually coach them and providing the best lessons that they can roll out for the students. Increasing staff levels, and that mainly meant really how do we deploy kind of our campus supervisors so that we are hitting our kind of high needs area to provide support for our students. And then having dedicated spaces for students when, you know, there are some students, you know, I jokingly say that there are some students who need more than one desk in a classroom. They need to be able to move around, and are there spaces, and looking at creating spaces for them to engage so they have more focused learning opportunities. So when we look at kind of our actions, if you will, providing more support for our teachers, newer teachers as well as substitute teachers, enhancing our campus safety by looking at and being present in kind of those key areas on campus so that we can make sure that students are doing what they need to do. And then just increase productivity and satisfaction from having just dedicated, it said workroom, but it's dedicated spaces for students to engage in terms of learning. The second indicator, and our second indicator here, this was a lowered area for us. A school creates experience that foster the belief that all children can learn at high levels. So one of the, I guess, biggest changes this year was actually creating our strategies for success classes and across all secondary. Specifically, again, this is another area where we have subs, but we have 3 strategies for success classes for each one of our middle school grades. This is an opportunity for students to work on skills that are aligned to that are at grade level, but where they actually have an opportunity to get additional support. We make sure that learning is accessible so they can using Google Classroom, using some of the technology resources that we have in place, students can access and be provided with additional opportunities to extend their learning. But our teachers pointed out, we'd like to, and this is something that we can look at, and this is kind of a unique challenge of, while the academy seems big, there's a lot of students here, but it's not as necessarily a comprehensive school where you can have all of these multi-layers of electives, but there are some things that we'd like to look at. These were some that they indicated. I think probably the biggest one is art. And we actually one of our subs, who's come in and has an art background. And so she's been integrating that into some of the STEM work that she's doing. Looking at how we can actually increase and provide more opportunities, such tutoring programs, but more intervention and support, not only after school, but actually during the day. So we can have support for students who need specific needs met. So we are looking at designated times specifically during second semester to address that. And then increase support for all students. There are students who have specific needs, but then really looking at how do we increase the support based on data. As we're looking at our STAR, we've actually included common formative assessments where departments have come together to actually outline, based on specific grade level standards that they need to cover, how our students do it. So then looking at using that data to provide more support for students. So again, our action areas, just really looking at how we can include more elective courses for our students, offering additional intervention options to support the needs, because again, our goal in middle school is to get them ready for high school. And then provide more training for our newer teachers and our substitute teachers, because we find that we do have long-term subs here. So we want to make sure that we are increasing support there. And then expanding opportunities for all students. Our third indicator, where we're looking at teachers hold high expectations for all students academically and behaviorally. So we began the year, and this was something that was noted in the survey. We have, the teachers have created social contracts. That was a big push at the beginning of the year, but then throughout the year, because we saw, again, an uptake in some of the behaviors, going back and revisiting these social contracts. What is the agreements that we have with students in terms of how to move through campus and actually support each other, and clearly communicating expectations. And that is something that we also need to go back and again, just continue to revisit, make sure that we're all clear about what the expectations are. Really working with students to just take ownership of their behavior. And that's part of our work as we are kind of launching the PBIS in middle school, in terms of really, as we teach the academic subjects, really going back and teaching them, here's what we're expected. That's aligned with our SOAR acronym throughout campus. And the focus on fostering just positive relationships and accountability. Again, social and emotional learning, we are actually going to be partnering with our counselor and our mental health specialists to do more push into classrooms to provide more support for students. Consistent behavior expectations and consequences across classrooms, and really looking at fine tuning that more. What is expected? What is it that, and it's not so much, because we also don't want to single out children. We want them to, because once they enter our doors, they're all of our students. All of the students are our students. So how do we support them, encourage them, and also continue to make sure that they're doing what they need to do? So increasing that, our work in terms of PBIS, so that we can further support students in their behaviors. And so our actions are listed there. Again, more work around standardizing behavior expectations, integrating more social emotional learning activities in the classroom, more professional development, for staff around SEL, using that and partnering with our counselors and also our mental health professionals. And then we are looking at refining kind of our reward system. So over a period of time, what is it that we want to provide students in terms of support? So again, school has established traditions and experiences. These are some things that are in place that our middle school staff called out in terms of just events and activities that are currently in place for all of our students. There was a call out to develop, we're not looking to, create a sports academy, but activities for students who have those more active skills, a way to kind of push that and direct that more into more intramural sports. And that's something that we're looking at that can be done here at the academy. And then areas of growth, standardizing, clarifying curriculum and behavior expectations, improving consistency for behavior, just being, call it visible consequences, but really just, I think that's more about helping everyone understand, again, this is what's expected and this is how we will support you. And then the call out was to actually just strengthen the middle school identity. We are on one campus, but what are some things we're looking at, specific activities, specific events that is targeted specifically for middle school so that they can feel, really understand and really feel positive about the culture here. And then again, the call out actions, again, aligning, working with departments, and they've already began this work, really looking at what are the specific essential standards that every student at a particular grade needs to cover, no matter what class you're in. These are things that will be covered, monitoring that with our common formative assessments. And then looking at planning more middle school events and activities to build a distinct culture within a culture, because again, we're all on one campus, and then establishing clear processes so that everybody's clear and working with families and with our families to make sure that everybody's clear about what is expected. We talked about communication tools, so teachers communicate regularly with families about individual student progress. So again, a call out here is we really do use Parent Square, and we do communicate with families regularly. But as a parent had shared with me, if you're publishing something that has 10 paragraphs in it, I'm more than likely not going to read it as opposed to one. So, kind of narrowing that down, but being very specific about what the need is. We recently sent out something regarding our dress code, again, but separated from everything else so that everyone could see, again, kind of what is expected. So increasing our areas of growth, again, continuing just to increase communication, simplifying our messaging, and then providing support, because we do have families, who have specific needs around internet connectivity and so forth. So really looking at opportunities there to support families. And then again, call out for actions here. Again, continuing specifically going back to our newer staff and subs messaging, providing more support in terms of using Parent Square and helping parents, making sure that they are updating their information so that we can stay connected with them for Power School. Regular parent workshops in terms of navigating our school communication platforms, which you've already begun. And then just more personalized messages, not always sending something home, when something's wrong, but celebrating. Hey, there's some good opportunities here. You did a great job, and really continue to build on that and celebrate that. There's evidence that student achievement is publicly celebrated, continuing to do more with this. And I know there was celebrations and displays, and I think our high school actually, friends kicked that off, but I know our middle school teachers actually participated in that, in terms of student work on the walls, awards assemblies, and our, continuing to build on PBIS events. Those are things that we do have in place. Recognizing student of the month. And I know that's something that we've had in place. And then areas of growth, just more recognition. I guess it just could never have enough. More continuing to recognize, doing it in a timely manner, expanding the work that we're displaying in terms of accomplishments for students in the school. This was something that was brought up by teachers. Again, class size, teacher-student ratio. That's something we'll have to work on in terms of just really kind of looking at that and the numbers that are in class. Sometimes that's happened because of, with the sub issues and trying to balance that out, making sure that we have students in the right spots. So that's something we're looking at as well. And then again, action. Again, just the call outs, again, increasing the frequency of awards and more class-based recognition programs. We've actually, as we all are becoming more familiar with 5-star, we've carved out that there's a way for teachers to really have kind of a system within a system where they can actually do more class-based management of that. So we're looking at how that works. One of our PBI's team is looking at that. And then just continue to update hallways and work with our partners here in terms of displays. And then the school provides support for physical, cultural, socioeconomic, and intellectual needs of all students. The call out here was, you know what, there are things that are in place that are just happening at the secondary campus that we've been a part of, in terms of cultural festival and different drives. We've had support for students, our EL students. Again, as I called out earlier in terms of our strategies for success class, we're finding that that's a real benefit. And also students, you know, teachers partnering with our gen ed teachers to really provide consistent grade level support for all of our students. Again, we talked about this earlier in terms of just what are some of the physical things that we're doing in terms of breaks and 5-star, but then we want to continue to improve safety measures. Really looking at, and as I stated earlier, we talked about consequences if needed, that support students, but not embarrass. Increasing, and there's a real concern for all of our families that when we are throwing events, that we're making sure that it's accessible and that everybody can participate, no matter price points and so forth. And then, like I said, we're going to continue addressing with our counselor support, just areas of, you know, bullying, cell phone use, dress code, and really kind of looking at that, which things do come up here in our middle school. And then again, looking at how we are kind of pushing out and deploying staff in terms of really making sure that we are covering all areas that are high needs in terms of support for students. Creating, managing our systems better in terms of just tracking and supporting students and rewarding them as they are doing the right things when they do it. And then really just enforcing all of our policies. So those are some of the actions that we're going to work on, continuing to work on for middle school. No questions?
Wow. Thank you for your presentation. You know, in hearing this, right, I have to say, for me, I realized that being a teacher is not the easiest job. It is a very rewarding job, but it is a challenge because you have so many different students in your class with different personality and lived experiences. And so listening to this, you know, I truly believe that belonging, a sense of belonging is, even as adults, right, what we all thrive for. And I think middle school is one of the most, you know, times of our lives, right? We're finding a lot about ourselves and trying to fit in and all of that. So it's great to hear a lot of the things that are, you know, being implemented or looking to implement, because you know, how we succeed in life is learning how to get through challenging times, because life will always have challenges. And I think in hearing this and with the well-being center that was discussed, I think it is so important to include that in the everyday lives of the students that are here together, who at times don't speak certain things. They're living in the classroom, may be their safest space for them at certain times. And so I think I love the separate events, right? Because it gives them their own, that's one of the things of having, you know, all the grade levels together is it could lose that time. I remember my elementary, I remember middle school and high school, they were all different campuses. And so I remember those experiences. So implementing that, I think it's so important. And I think it helps them as well with learning how to have relationships, work on the relationships with the teachers and all of that. So I can't wait to hear more of what evolves from that too. Because it all progresses right from elementary school to middle school and high school. So thank you for the report.
Thank you. It seems like a lot of thought went into this, so I appreciate that. There are a lot of action items on here, so if you haven't already, I recommend maybe prioritizing things in terms of need or like the time order, because I feel like when you're trying to do this many things at once, it can be really hard to keep momentum on all of them. But I can definitely see we can put a lot of effort into this, and I'm excited to see what's out there.
I appreciate it too. I mean, it's a lot of work, but it's good seeing this coming through. I'm not in the weeds the day to day here, but it's clear, like even with elementary and the high school presentations, it's good seeing this. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you and along with everyone else, and also that I'm really pleased that you were using the social contract and not just at the beginning of the year, but going back and revisiting. I think that's something that's underused and on a lot of campuses. So thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, before us is, interscholastic athletics presented by Mr. Ryan.
As you saw last time, I updated the policy just to make sure that it represents the fact that we do as a school compete in CIF level sports. That policy is reflective of the requirements of being a school that participates in CIF sports. There were no offers of additional editing. So I have given you the redlined version, and as well, you have the finalized copy as well.
Any questions?
Steroids, because we are a CIF participating school, we also have to have a set policy about steroids and the dangers of the use of steroids. So that policy was created in order to make sure that we are, again, reflecting the requirements of CIF and that we are following along with those. And there are some certain amounts of requirements of things that we now have to put into place as like the poster state. So upon approval, there'll be some of the things that we start working on here in the next week or so.
Any questions? No? All right, thank you. All right, now we're moving on to our legislative session. We're not on number 12. Board member removal. The board will consider to take possible action regarding the removal of Eduardo Trujillo from the board of directors from the Palmdale Aerospace Academy. The discussion and action will address the concerns related to Mr. Trujillo's appointment to the TPAA board of directors. So do we have any discussion? Discussion? Okay, could I have a motion?
I move to, what's the right way to word this? I move that we remove Everardo Trujillo from the board of directors.
You're on a second? Second. Second, all right. We have a second by Mr. Patrick Brophy. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion is adopted. The removal of board member Trujillo has been adopted. All right, now we're moving on to number 13. Approve the Palmdale School District appointee to the Palmdale Aerospace Academy Board of Directors. Seat will be Mr. Trujillo, Dennis Trujillo. Different Trujillo, Mr. Dennis Trujillo will be joining us at the next meeting. He's in Japan right now on vacation. So he'll be joining us on our next meeting.
I did have a discussion point on this one. So I know we've been doing it this way for many years, that we have a separate action to approve appointees. But a number of concerns have been raised that maybe we're not following the bylaws. So in the future, before we have openings to see people, can we check our bylaws and make sure we do it the right way? If when this is open stuff or not, just so, no, no.
And you're correct. Let me go ahead and just redo number 13 again. So the item before us is the discussion to approve the Palmdale School District appointee to the Palmdale Aerospace Board of Directors. C will be Janice Trujillo. We have any discussion?
So with following what Ellen said, yes, correct. Mr. Trujillo, yes. The item based on our bylaw, right? We, as a board, for the designator seats, which is the city of Palmdale and the Palmdale School District. They are appointed as when they are appointed by the designators. So I agree with Ellen, moving forward, I think it's important how they are included into the agenda for transparency and the following of the bylaw.
Any other discussion on that? No?
Yeah.
So let's change that to confirm.
And we're actually bringing her.
So I move that we confirm the appointment of Janice Trujillo to the office as a board of directors.
Do you have a second? Okay. All in favor?
Do we wait until the attorney speaks or?
Is that, Laura, is that correct?
Yeah, no, yeah, you guys are fine. I would speak up if you weren't, but yeah, this is a confirmation and there is, I noted to Gina, you guys have a board development committee policy that was brought to my attention on Friday, and that and the bylaws are actually in conflict, so we need to clean that up too, but we'll work on that.
All right, so I have a second by Ms. Janet Simons. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The motion to confirm Mr. Dennis Trujillo has been adopted. Thank you. All right, Laura? All right, so we're on item 14. Laura, this is to appoint the Palmdale Aerospace Foundation Board, correct?
Correct. With the resignation of 2 of the board members at the academy, it was confirmed that they also intended to vacate their positions on the foundation. So we do need to have you guys appoint those 2. And it is important to do that because by corp code law, we need to have, and by bylaws, we need to have a minimum of 3. And each of them has to hold an office, which we'll be dealing with in the foundation agenda later tonight.
So
What do we have right now? We have just, you're on it too.
No,
Foundation?
no, I was until the end of my prior term, but then with all the
Okay.
logistics, I'm not anymore.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Okay,
just me, the secretary.
yeah.
got it. Okay.
And I have, just to confirm once again, I understand, I know I brought this up before. Just that there is no conflict of interest here, right? Because I know in the public's eye or those that may not have the full understanding of what the foundation board represents and why it was created and how it's aligned with the, the board and the school itself. I think it's important to be very transparent and clear in this process so that, there's no misunderstanding of how the 2 are aligned and how it is possible that board members are also appointed on the foundation board.
Yes. So as I stated before, and we've talked about, there is no legal prohibition against having mere boards or individuals that serve on both boards. There is some sensitivity to that because you are wearing different hats. You have a different fiduciary duty that you are going towards. That said, it's very important for us to have the foundation and the LLC to be in compliance and up and running because of the bonds in particular. We don't want to have anything that would potentially render those bonds to be taxable. So at this point, I think it's best, my recommendation would be that you went ahead and appointed these. And that was certainly a discussion that could be had at a later date. I will also note that the bylaws for the foundation allow for 5 positions in total. So there's still 2 other positions that could be completely outside of the board members of the academy.
Thank you.
I would like to make a nomination. If we're ready to do that.
Yeah.
I'd like to nominate Ms. Natty Lopez as a member of the foundation board if she'll accept.
And I would like to nominate Ellen. She's already had some experience on the foundation board, if she's willing to accept.
Any discussion on Ms. Lopez and Ms. Cassidy?
I accept, as the attorney mentioned, as we move forward, also right consideration of, bringing others on board as well. The foundation board main purpose is to fundraise for the school as well as, you know, and I think that is important. And I think it would be good as well to bring others on as we move forward. And even consider if, you know, we make all the positions separate from the board. But in order to be compliant, then we move forward and we have a further discussion later on.
I'm also willing to accept, and if we get voted in, I agree with Ms. Lopez that I think we need to look at really building a robust foundation board that has people with all the right backgrounds, including people outside of just this group.
Laura, this question's for you. Since we're both accepted, do we motion to approve each one individually?
You can do it either way. Yeah, either way. You can say motion to approve Ms. Lopez and excuse me, Mike Isaac. Or you can do it separately, however you wish to do it.
Did I get a motion?
I make a motion to accept both Ms. Natty Lopez and Ellen McIsaac.
Second.
Second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
I'm gonna abstain. I just don't like to vote on myself.
Yes, thank you. That's actually a good point. Yeah.
So all those opposed, say no. All right, the motion is adopted to welcome Ms. Lopez and Ms. McIsaac to the foundation board. Welcome. All right, item 15. The item before us is item 15, appointment of Design, Create, and Explore LLC. Is that correct, Laura?
That is correct. So, as I've discussed with some of you, this is the LLC that was created to assist with the bond financing structure. They are the actual landlord of the building. They are the ones that had held the proceeds of the bonds, and they are involved in the processing of the lease payments going towards the bond trustee. The bylaws do require that these particular officers are selected, and I know we don't have the same amount of individuals for the officers here. So my suggestion would be to, at a minimum, do the chair, the president, and the secretary and the CFO. And then we can discuss, because I don't believe that there's been any applications or thought process outside of the board. If that's correct, I'd ask Ms. Lynch to confirm that, but I think that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
But is it time for
Go
questions?
ahead.
So is this separate from the foundation board?
Yes.
Because so we have not had this before, right?
I cannot speak to what you guys have had before, but I know that there seems to be some confusion as to the structure. And I think I'm actually, because it's come up a few times, I'm going to put together a summary and a structure of what goes on with the bonds and why there's the 3. But and it might also be in part because the Design, Create, Explore LLC, the sole member is the academy, and which gives them certain rights. But overall, when it comes to the board, which obviously you guys are here doing that, and that's one of the rights here.
So it's not through the foundation board that the LLC is? Because on the foundation board, there was always a president, a CFO, and,
A secretary.
secretary.
Yeah,
So
that's
this-
that's a corporate code requirement, but no, they're two separate entities, legal entities.
So who were in these roles before? that
I
were
do not
doing-
know the answer to that.
Yeah,
I don't think people. So the president was Kathy Dren, the CFO was Mr. Martin.
For the LLC.
So now, which positions do we need to fill there?
I would recommend filling, I'm writing them down as I'm talking, the chair. I think either the president or the CEO, usually those are kind of the same roles. And the secretary and the CFO, those are the four I think you should do or the 1, 2, 3 you should do tonight for sure. And then, if there's any other interests with the vice chair or the vice presidents, then that would be fine. But I think that would be my recommendation.
What is the function of this? Of these seats?
I would have to pull up the operating agreement, which I do not have in front of me, but I can momentarily if you give me a moment. It's the one document I didn't have. Let's see. All right, so I've got the operating agreement up now.
I guess what their function and how it aligns with the board and the foundation board. Seems like a lot of different seats here.
I agree with you on that for sure. And the operating agreement doesn't even have descriptions of the officers in it.
Yeah, I guess for me, I sat on the foundation board before and I guess I wasn't aware of this.
Could we, make some nominations?
So yeah, I think after we get through this, it'd be worthwhile to have the appointed officers work with our legal counsel to see if we can streamline some of it. Because president and a CEO, it seems like they could all fulfill the same function and be the same person.
So do you have a nomination for CFO?
Should these be the foundation board people?
And that's why I'm a little confused, because on the foundation board, we had a CFO, we had the secretary, and we had the president, so.
Right, but that's a different legal entity. That's a 501c3 nonprofit organization. The Design Create is a limited liability corporation. They're different legal entities. So you can do again, like you want, if you'd like, you can do the mere board again, or the mere officers again, which makes sense to me. I don't know, again, I mentioned this at one of the meetings I was at, that this is a very strange structure that they created this additional LLC to do this. Most of the times I see the nonprofits, which would be the academy, stepping right into the shoes of the borrower. So I don't know why they did that, but that is what has been done. And so we need those officers for signatures or anything else that may be needed to be done by the limited liability corporation.
Can I nominate Ms. Lopez as CFO? If she'll accept.
Yes, sir. Sure. Okay,
I'll nominate Mr. Lujan as chair/president/CEO. If I can do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
secretary, And I'm gonna in seconds.
Sure.
Hey, there's still rice there.
Dog catcher.
So I nominate Patrick for vice chair.
Well, and it does say appoint any or one or more of the following officers. So,
Good.
you know, if you don't, but you can give everybody a role. Everybody gets a role.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Say no.
I'll say yes.
All right. So could I get a motion to approve myself as president, Patrick as vice chair, Ms. Simons as secretary, and Ms. Lopez as CFO?
I will move, the way that Mr. Leon stated.
Is that a second?
I will second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor, all those opposed say no. The motion is adopted, to appoint the people as mentioned on the motion, to the Design, Create, Explore LLC. Is that right?
That's perfect.
Thank you. All right, now for a superintendent certified stipend list.
So the certificate stipend list was not ready when we ratified the contract, but it was gonna come as an exhibit. So we met with PATA and we finished this stipend list. It just needs approval so we can put it in the final contract.
Do we have any discussion?
Was there ever discussion to give stipends to other clubs on here or? You know, there's stuff going on, I don't know, Key Club or other,
For clubs.
yeah, that people do after school, like that aren't on this list, like.
I think we look at yellow key funding for that, not necessarily a stipend list, because we're looking at budgetary.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not, it's open for negotiations in the future.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all
Now we'll have
negotiations
to
here,
negotiate it on,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm good with this.
Yeah.
That's it.
Any other?
Are all these built, like, are people body in these? So all these clubs and all this is actually going on in the schools?
Basically, it's everywhere, because we already have it in place, it's a different contract.
I move that we approve / ratify the certificate stipend list.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Hi.
All those opposed say no. The motion is adopted. Thank you. Business services, first interim financial report. Aaron Huddleston, consultants. Thank you.
Good evening. So, I'm Karen Huddleston. I am working with the school to, help support you in the transition between, not having a CBO and having a CBO. So congratulations and welcome aboard. President Lujan, members of the board, Superintendent Lynch, thank you very much for this opportunity to present the first interim report this evening. Same, I would like to also welcome staff and guests. And what we're going to talk about is where we're at financially with our first interim report. So we are required to do a first interim report each year. So basically, we have a cycle that we do. And the cycle is that we come to you with an adopted budget along with our LCAP in June. And then you approve the budget for the coming year. We come back to you in September and we show your unaudited actuals. In our adopted budget, we've given you a snapshot of where we believe we're going to end the year. And we come back in September with what we actually did at the end of the year. So the beginning balance will change when we close our books. We come back to you at this time of the year for the first interim report where we look at any changes that have occurred since our adopted budget. We incorporate those into the budget and we bring it to you and share it with you where we believe we are at this point in time. However, things change constantly. So you'll have a second interim report that will be as of January 31st, and that will be brought to you in March so that you can look at any additional changes that have occurred. then we'll start the cycle all over again when you come to the adopted budget going forward for next year. So going back to where we were, this is going to have where we're at from daughter. This isn't my outside voice. Thank you. So we are going to incorporate anything that we know, and we're going to share with you where we're at as of October 31st. This will include our multi-year projections for the current year and 2 subsequent years. And then we will ask that you certify that we are able to have a positive certification for our first interim report. So this is with any information that we have presently since we brought this to you for adoption at in our June adoption. So it reflects any up-to-date changes in legislature or anything that we know different in our budget for our expenses and our revenues. It will show that we have a stable budget and our revenues are exceeding our expenditures currently, and that it is going to be an increase in our overall fund balance. So basically what we're looking at, we do have changes. We have, we have about a $1.6 million change to our revenues. A lot of that is caused by our federal COVID funds. And in those, what we have to do is recognize the revenue and the expenditures together. So we are changing our revenues based on where we really stand with those revenues, assuming what we did in the previous year. So when we adopted the budget, we gave you a snapshot of what we thought we would do, but we spent differently at the end of the year differently, spent more money, therefore we recognize revenue in the prior year. So we're reducing it in the current year. It's really not a reflection of anything that is changing with us. It's just updating. However, our LCFF sources, it incorporates the money that we get for our students. So our average daily attendance. And so we are reducing that amount by about $800,000. The reason for that is because.
You're reducing it by what? It's being reduced by what?
About $800,000. Okay. And the reason for that is because we're reflecting it based on where we stand currently. So our LCFF sources are reduced because we're looking at where we actually were as on our census date for CBIDs in October. And so we are adjusting our LCFF revenue based on our actual numbers. For the federal ones again are for the one-time revenues, and the state was just slightly because we were just bringing into we were taking into consideration the actual apportionments that had been done. It's an estimate at adopted budget. Now we have the actual number. In expenditures, we are actually reducing what we're anticipating in expenditures. Some of that is because of things that we didn't recognize when we did an adopted budget. And some of it is because we over budgeted and we want to make corrections for that. So if you look at where we're at overall, it will be about a reduction of about $450,000. And the way that looks is our certificated salaries are, all of our salaries for that matter, are adjusted based on current staffing. So when we adopted the budget, we were missing some teachers in the budget, in the adopted budget. We've made the correction for that. So there were 8 additional teachers. We also negotiated salary increase. And when we did that, increased the amount of money that we're going to spend on teacher salaries this year. Classified salaries were again adjusted for actual staffing. And then there was the reason why it's reduced in here by $500,000 is because when we did the budget, we didn't know that we were going to pay that one-time payment in June of last year. So that was incorporated in the budget for this year. We paid that last year, so we didn't need to include it in this year's budget. So we were able to reduce that. Employee benefits, we adjusted based on the actual staffing that we have. So all of the people that we had in certificate classified, we looked at what those costs were going to be. In addition to that, we negotiated that we would bring PERS into the district, and so the PERS costs were budgeted for the entire year. We haven't been able to get that through at this point. We're working with LA County Office of Education in order to get that implemented. And so when it does get implemented, it will have a savings of about half of this year, right? So if we can get it up and running by January, we're saving half of this year, but we are going to incorporate that when we get into the multi-year coming up. So that was a significant reduction in our employee benefits. The books and supplies and services and operating expenses, we took a very careful look at where we think we're really going to be. And we looked at where we were at for supply, we looked at where we were at for contracted services and operating expenses, and we reduced it accordingly. So if we know we're not going to spend it, we've adjusted the budget accordingly. We also had an increase in the contracted services for the roofing renovation that we did. So overall, we have $1.6 million reduction in revenues. We have $442,000 reduction in expenditures. And so it's going to have an impact of from our adopted budget of about $1.2 million. However, as you can see on the first center column, we still have $1 million more in revenue than we have in expenditures. So we have a very stable budget. Our beginning fund balance, in our original budget, we had estimated it was to be about 29 million. When we closed the books, we actually ended with about 34 million. And so our ending fund balance, as you can see, is going up to $35 million for what we anticipate we're going to end the books with at the end of the year. So the other thing that we have to do when we're doing the interim report is we have to do a multi-year projection. We have to know that not only will we be able to meet our expenditures in the current year, we have enough money to pay off our bills, but we also have enough to do for 2 subsequent years. And I will tell you this, the multi-year is the thing that has the most opportunity for change, especially the third year out, because we're giving you information based on where we think we're going to be, based upon the state telling us where they think they're gonna be. So things will change, but this is where we believe we're gonna be. So our multi-year projections are showing us that we have some increases in expenditures and we have increases in revenue as well. So at the end of the current year, we're looking at that, looking at ending the year with an ending fund balance of $38 million. And in the next year, we're looking at increasing that. So our revenues are up because we have cost of living increases coming from the state based on our ADA. And we have stable expenditures going forward. The changes that we have in both income and expenditures. So the LCFF revenue, that's the revenue that we get from students that are sitting in their little seats. Those, we are increasing that based on what the state is recommending, both the school services in California and the LCFF calculator that comes from the state. So 2.9% COLA for 25-26, 3.08% COLA for 26-27. We're anticipating no changes in federal revenues and state revenues and no changes in federal and state categorical programs and expenditures. We increased our expenditures for 24-25 and in 24-25 we had long-term subs in the current year that we're filling. So we are filling teacher vacancies with those long-term subs in the current year. And next year we have the full cost of the CBO. Roseanne's here for half a year. So next year we're going to have her in for a full year. We've increased PERS because we only have 50% of the year in there this year. So next year we anticipate a full year of PERS costs. We were hoping that we could distribute Title I funds to each of the sites this year. We're moving that to next year so that we have increased supplies on our assumptions for the amount of money that we are anticipating moving on out to the sites. We have a textbook adoption that we anticipate we will be piloting in 26-27. And then, of course, every year we're increasing for 7 column increases of 2% for classified and certificated. And we have 10% for utilities and 5% for property and liability insurance. We hope we keep our utilities at 10%, don't we? So, I would like to take this opportunity to thank not only the Fiscal Services Department, the Business Office for all of their support and their help, but the entire management team that came together to make sure that we did put together a budget that was actually going to reflect where we believe we're going to be. So this is a budget with fidelity. And it has been a pleasure working with the team. They are amazing and you are incredibly lucky to have them. So we recommend that you approve the first interim report for positive certification. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions?
Does these numbers include the 16, the positions that are open right there? Today we approved, there were 16.
Are you talking about the personnel report?
Yeah,
That's just an ongoing list of what our openings are. It's nothing.
so we're not, okay. That was.
Question, so I think not the dashboard that came out, but last year's it had our socioeconomic numbers a little bit lower, right? And I'm wondering, there might have been an impact in concentration funds. Has that been factored anywhere in there? And what year?
So we're looking at our unduplicated count.
Okay,
So the unduplicated count is part of the LCFF calculation. And Manny's name's coming up again. She does great work and she was able to get the information that we needed for where we believe we are right now today for our unduplicated count. So those numbers are factored in here. They may change slightly, but very minimally by the January date when they're needed to be submitted. So those have been factored into this, and then the 3-year rolling average is all part of the LCFF calculation.
Everyone keeps bringing that number up, but that's a past number that we already had funding resolved with. So it doesn't even currently impact us and it didn't impact us in the public, like,
okay,
yeah, we keep hearing that, but now we're at 76.7.
okay, yeah, so that doesn't, okay, thank you.
No questions.
I have no question. Thank you for your hard work. I know you guys are gonna put in a lot of hours and putting that oil on that, but thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
You okay? Did I get a motion to approve the first interim financial report? And have a second.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion is adopted. Thank you. Right, special education student services. Right, the item before us, is interscholastic athletics. Do you have any discussion on that?
I move that we accept the interscholastic activities policy.
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion is adopted. The item before us is the steroids. Policy. Do we have any discussion for that?
I move that we accept the steroid policy.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no. The motion is adopted. Thank you, Mr. Riley. All right, educational service. The item before us is mathematics course placement policy.
Okay. My fingers crossed, maybe they'll go right into the vote.
So the math course.
The math placement.
There you go.
The math placement policy has been updated with some minor changes. The placement of students is They clarified in a couple of spots for depending on the student goes, which class to be put into. And then the placement checkpoint has been reduced from 1 month to 2 weeks. For the teacher to do that with the student. Then this new policy has a waiver for math course placement as an attachment. And the term that you're gonna find in there quite frequently was chief executive officer. And that's been removed from the board policy and replaced with the high school principal. Because I believe the high school principal should be the first administrator who's gets into all of the data. And the policy is now been separated into board policy and administrative regulation, which is our current practice now.
Okay. That's it, all right, do we have any questions or discussion?
Motion to approve the math course placement policy.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion is adopted.
Thank you.
Facilities, maintenance and operations. The item before us is the fire door chain hoist system improvement.
All right, bringing one of those technical and maintenance items before us again tonight. We have 4 fire doors across the campus to serve a critical role in ensuring safety and compliance with fire code regulations. These doors are equipped with chain hoist systems, which are used to operate the heavy fire doors during emergency. I did put supporting document as a picture reference, so you know what I'm talking about here. Over time, staff has reported challenges with the current hoist systems, including excessive wear and tear, difficulty in operation, and safety concerns due to outdated or malfunctioning components. A thorough inspection was conducted. This is conducted by our local fire department as well as experts certified in this area to assess the state of these systems and identify opportunities for improvement. The inspection identified several deficiencies in the current chain hoist systems. The vendor specializing in the fire door systems has been consulted, and they proposed the solution, including upgrading the hoist system with modern, more efficient components. We also showcased this proposal to our local fire department, and they loved the technology improvement. We did do a cost analysis, and of course, safety takes precedence, and we can absorb this within our facilities budget here. So we're bringing it before you tonight for seeking permission to make this change out of the hoist systems for these 4 doors.
We open this up for discussion. Mr. Dover, is there a plan maintenance on this? What is the maintenance on that?
There's routine and preventative maintenance that's done monthly on there, and part of what the commercial door company will be doing is showcasing how to conduct that maintenance when they install it with our team. So the maintenance will be done in-house moving forward.
And the company will be teaching the staff to.
Correct, and then we also would be entitled to our normal fire department inspections. This is also an item they inspect as well.
Any other questions? Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve fire door chain hoist system improvement.
Sorry.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion is adopted. Thank you. All right. Human resources, no items, and health services, no items. Any comments for non-agenda items? I have 2. Ms. Christie Ayon.
Good evening, my name is Christy Navarro-Zayon, and I am the PTSO secretary. And I'm Iris Chable, PTSO president. And we just wanted to come and take a moment and share a couple of the programs that PTSO was able to support and collaborate with different areas on the campus. The first one, Mrs. Ramirez, she's one of the counselors at the secondary site. She organized a thrift fest, and through donations made by families, every student had the opportunity to come and shop at the thrift store to get shoes, accessories, blankets, whatever had been donated at no charge to them. While we were on campus working and volunteering, we would see the students be so excited, look what I got yesterday, showing off their new clothes. We also had students come in getting items for family members because they needed a sweater more than they did. And we also had students come in, well, one in particular, where his shoes were separating from the sole, and he was hoping that there would be a pair of shoes for him. And thanks to this program, we actually did have a pair of shoes in their size. And he was able to have them and he came wearing them the rest of the week. So it's really important, we feel that it was like super fun and exciting to see the kids, and this is a really good program and we hope to see it continue and grow. I know it started as like a coat drive last year and kind of formed into this because it really does make an impact on our students, and it was really no like additional cost. So we really hope that in the future, if it's something that we need support from, you guys will remember that it does really impact our students. We also collaborated on a food drive. We worked with Mr. Flores in counseling. We worked with Elena Graham, that is the family engagement and outreach specialist, as well as Mr. Lujan. Mr. Lujan actually approached us in September to try to bring on something like this to campus. And so we just kind of went with it. We were able to collect food and provide 21 families boxes of food that they could take over the Thanksgiving break. So they didn't have to worry about, where is their meal gonna come from, because the free lunches weren't provided. Of those 21 families, through donations secured by Mr. Lujan, we were able to give 16 fully cooked turkey meals to families so that they didn't have to worry about that on their Thanksgiving. And this was like something new PTSO has done. So we were really excited to be able to collaborate with that. And we know that these programs that wouldn't be able to exist without the support from our principals. So Mrs. Fawcett, Mr. Langford, and Dr. Sullivan, and Ms. Lynch for giving us the approvals in order to come on the site. The food drive was actually both sites, and the families came from both. So thank you guys so much, and we hope for more support. Thank you.
Mr. Lopez?
Hi, Board of Directors. I just wanted to give you guys a little update where everything's been happening on campus and what ASB is planning to do and what we have done. We had our annual Halloween event on October 29th with about 400 attendees. We had an amazing haunted house, which went amazing. Miss Lynch went through it, Dr. Sullivan, and I believe a couple more staff members did go through it. They all enjoyed it. This week is Spirit Week. Tomorrow is Bring Winter Attire. Thursday is PJ Day, and Friday is Whiteout. This Friday, we have a Student Athletic Council fundraiser at Chuck E. Cheese in Lancaster. Sadly, Winter Formal, which was originally scheduled for this Saturday, had been canceled due to unforeseen circumstances, but has been canceled due to unforeseen circumstances that led to the event not being rescheduled. But on the bright side, prom is still on track to happen. Ticket sales for pre-sale price of $145 will end soon on December 19th, and will resume on January 1st. Not January 1st, January 13th, when we return back from winter break at a new price of $160. As well, for our middle schoolers, their second semester formal is scheduled for February 7th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Ticket sales will start happening in January. Tickets are $15. ASB plans to hold our second semester winter pep rally in January. More info will come soon. In second semester, ASB will also be holding our second ever board decoration challenge. This challenge encourages clubs to decorate their assigned boards within the H building. Doing this brings out student engagement and club involvement on campus. ASB would like to invite all board members to walk through inside top of H building during January 1st till January 23rd to see all the amazing things that our bright students have came up with. Thank you for listening and supporting ASB as we continue to work towards more community engagement.
Now, we're gonna move on to our closed session, so. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ready? Yeah, all right. Reconvene, back to open session. The following actions were taken during closed session. The board did approve unanimously to approve expulsion of bans of student number 2024-2025-3. Unanimously. Other than that, no more action taken. Reports, Palmdale Aerospace Teachers Association, rep? None? Okay, Palmdale Aerospace Classified Association, rep? None? Superintendent report?
So you all were invited to the Winter Wonderland next Thursday if you'd like to attend. That's gonna be a fun elementary school event. And then tomorrow, Julie Drake from the AV Press will be at our elementary school spotlighting one of our teachers, our fifth grade classrooms, and also interviewing some FTC students. So we're excited to have that in the paper. Yeah, that's all I have.
All right, Board of Director reports, Ms. Lopez.
So I'd like to announce the Palmdale, well, the Palmdale Holiday Parade is Saturday. It'll be on Palmdale Boulevard. Bringing it back to Palmdale Boulevard after several years. It'll start on 20th East and it'll end between 10th and 9th Street East. Following that, the parade starts at 10 o'clock, and then after that, there's gonna be an event, a posada event held by the AV Hispanic Chamber at the square at Ponce Lawn Square from 10 to 2. Bring your families out. There are, I think, 130 plus entries to the parade. So it should be a good parade. And the square, I don't know if anybody got to go to the tree lighting on December 4th, but the Ponce Lawn Square is decorated very nice with a lot of lights. Beautiful opportunity for photographs. There's a sleigh and all of that. So, you know, let people know, the kids know, so that they can go enjoy. It's lit up every night and it looks beautiful. In addition to that, I know that they mentioned today, you know, the need of kids. I know there's kids that need toys and shoes and all that. There's an event taking place, actually 2 on the same day. One, I believe is at McAdam Park. It is a toy drive and there should be a shoe giveaway. And then there'll also be another event at AVTA in Lancaster, and that one is also a toy drive, and I believe there's a food distribution. There's also opportunities for volunteering. If people want to volunteer, I know that Saves is also holding some volunteering opportunities for the holidays to distribute food to the families and put toys together, and Santa's helper store that they do. If there's any interest of that, you know, everything is on the city website, all the dates, etc. And I think it's great for families to know, because I know there's a lot of families in need. In addition to that, the city just approved another cohort for the Certificate in Applied Positive Psychology program. So we will be offering that in early spring. Applications should be opening up in early January. And that is a great program for people to participate in. It is, you know, you learn tools that you can use long-term and in organizations too, of how to, you know, get through challenging times with positive, you know, psychology. And we are adding youth sessions to that. So there's gonna be 8 total one-day sessions between 2025 and 2026. The sessions will include about 40 to 50 kids at a time. And this is all gonna be provided, you know, to all the youth in the community. I would love to be able to have some of those sessions take place on campuses if schools are willing to hold that, because it allows the kids that are working together on a daily basis to also gain those tools. And it allows for teachers or other staff that work with the kids to go through it as well. So I will provide more information on that as we have more details together. There's a planning committee that will be put together for the youth sessions to kind of discuss how they would be. It's with a consultant, an instructor that has been doing the CAP classes. So if there's any interest from anyone that would like to be part of that planning process, especially, you know, the mental health facilitators or teachers or anything, please let me know. So I think we are trying to include as many schools and prevention workers and all that in the process. And then in April, we are also gonna be holding an appreciative inquiry session with the community. Hopefully, we're inviting a lot of prevention workers and schools to come together collectively and, discuss a lot of things. It's a great process to learn. And so all of that is part of the mental health and well-being initiative that the city will be launching. And I'm sharing this here so that you can share it forward and let people know. I think we can't make a difference alone. We have to include all those that are doing work together, especially I think schools are so critical to it because you have the future here, right? In campuses of work for the community. So investing in them is very important. So I will have more information later on and I will share it with you, Gina. You can send it to the rest of the board and hopefully we can share it with the staff, et cetera, if they would like to be involved. Please, I encourage it because we need to hear people's input and perspectives of what they are experiencing with the youth and all that to find, a collective solution or something in place that'll help improve the life of these kids and we could have less, things that are affecting them and more thriving and positive things in their life. That's mine.
I wanted to ask if we could get an update on the student board member position in early 2025. And then I wanted to thank the robotics team for hosting another FTC competition that went well this past weekend, and also Mr. Berkeley for hosting it. And then if anyone is listening to this or watches the recordings, we have 2 more upcoming in January and February. We always use volunteers, so I'm free and open to the public if anyone wants to come check out what all the kids have done. And then also I wanted to wish good luck to the Science Olympiad group for their first competition this weekend.
Thank you to all the robotics parents at this event, making the booth happen, the food, and thinking about the kids on the other teams and trying to get them sweatshirts and hoodies and not even just their own kids there. Like, your parents make it happen. My parents are the best parents, but you're close. You're right there. Thank you.
I just wanted to say I had the privilege of joining Mr. Lujan the Friday before the week of Thanksgiving break to do a walkthrough of the school. And I was very impressed with the amount of student work that was being displayed. It was super cute. I think I was in a 3rd grade class and one little girl was showing me her work and she was very proud of it, but then pointed to her work on the board and said, no, you really need to go look at that one. Okay, so it was great getting a chance to see them. Also got to meet with Miss Maya and Miss Todd and Miss Goff, working with their students for the Science Olympiad this weekend. They're very enthusiastic and super excited for their students and the work that they're doing. It was pretty amazing. So I just appreciated that. Also wanted to thank Mr. Riley for completing that fall 1 reporting ahead of time. That's always a good thing. And then I was super excited to hear about the 3 classes for the dual enrollment that Mr. Schatz has been working with ABC. I think it's super important. It's a big initiative to get our students in these dual enrollment classes early. It makes a huge difference to college, to career, all of that. So I'm super happy about the work that's being done with that. So thank you all very much.
All right, I want to thank, just piggyback on Ms. Christie Ayon's comments today. I just want to thank Ms. Ramirez, Mr. Flores from the counseling office, Ms. Ayon herself, Ms. Vega, and Ms. Elena Graham for the food drive. When you count up, she said 16, there was a lot more boxes than 16. They actually fed about 210 people when you count all that. So that's TPAA helping each other, and we couldn't do this without these amazing people. So thank you again, Ramirez, Flores, Ayon, Vega, and Ms. Graham. I want to thank the robotics team and Ellen and Patrick for being out here on Saturday. Sorry I couldn't be out here, but I did send some treats and stuff to try to get those kids some sugar in them and hyped up before then. Science Olympiad, good luck on Saturday. Ms. Goff and Todd and Maya, you guys are amazing. I mean, these people put so much work in there. But little, when we toured, what was the thing they were showing us off? Ellen's, contribution to that, she was helping out that little concrete disc. And they're trying to figure out which one was hard. So thank you, Ellen and Patrick, for you guys' hard work and stuff. That's all I got. Thank you.
Where is the Science Olympiad event taking place?
To make you know. Yeah. I'll be here at 4:30 in the morning or see them off. To I was laughing, but I'll be here. What do you call it? But I'll be here to see them off and stuff. So wish them luck.
When they have another one in January, and the local one, ABC in February.
Is there a list of these events that could be shared with us? I mean, I know that they probably listed on the website, but searching the time, sometimes you don't have time to be searching the website, but I think if they can send us maybe a list of what's happening, that would be great. We can share it forward with others as well. Sure.
So we're doing
Did we adjourn it?
All right, this adjourns the Palmdale Aerospace.
We need to
Meeting?
call Laura.
You guys aren't in the.
We don't have to take for this.
Yeah, I think you technically can.
Laura, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you guys.
Would you want us to gavel in the foundation?
Yeah.
Sure, go for it.
I'll call to order the Palmdale Aerospace Academy Foundation. What time? 8:53. Roll call,
Mr. Lujan,
present.
Ms. Lopez,
Present.
Ms. McIsaac, present.
You're on, Laura.
All right.
Okay.
Laura?
Yeah, hi. So we actually have a couple of things for you guys because while you guys were continuing your meeting, I went back and took a look at the operating agreement. And it is actually the foundation that's the sole member of the LLC. It's still true that they're two separate legal entities, but it should be the foundation that's putting those officers in. And we're okay to do that because we don't, the foundation is not subject to the Brown Act. So we can do what you guys have already done in the academy agenda, and you made those few officers named for the LLC. We can do that here, and then we also need to put in the officers for the foundation as well. So that's the secretary, the president, and the CFO.
And to clarify, that would serve for both.
No, there's two separate items. There's the foundation officers and there's the LLC officers. We had done the LLC officers, but we did it just a few hours ago in the academy, and it should have been done here in the foundation.
So I don't think we've ever had, or I don't know if we have,
Well,
but I don't think we've.
This might be why the operating agreement doesn't require you to have officers for the LLC. You can put them in. I would recommend that you have officers in case you need them. It's better to have them in place than to have a situation come up when you need them and you don't have them. You'd have to convene the foundation to put them on.
So is it a conflict to have the same people on the foundation board be the ones for the LLC? Or
No, not that I'm aware of legally, but I think when you guys talked about it, they'd put you in as the CFO, Patrick in as the vice chair, David as the president, and then Janet as the secretary.
but I think that was with for the foundation. Yeah, I think we were, I didn't realize even when I was on the foundation board before that there was this third role. So some of us would end up with 3 different roles. So it's a bit confusing.
Yes,
Would
it is.
they have the same people be on those 2 different unless it's a conflict of interest until we, as we said, you know, discuss moving forward, how to have this, you know, be a little bit more clear and.
Correct me if I'm wrong, there's only three positions on this, president, secretary, and CFO, right?
That is correct for the foundation board, but what I'm saying is we had made a mistake for the LLC officers. It should be this board, the foundation board, making those appointments, not the school board, which did it just a little bit ago.
So redo it is what you're saying.
Either redo it or like Ms. Lopez is saying, if you don't, if the decision is we haven't had officers in place, let's not have officers in place, that's fine too. But again, I just don't know what has been done in the past that should have been done with officers of that LLC. And it seems to just be best in this situation to have officers in place.
The foundation board is the one that has to meet regularly, not the LLC.
Regardless with the LLC, we still have to elect officers of the foundation because right now.
So would it be okay to move forward with the foundation board appointments? Allow the foundation board to have at least one or two meetings to discuss and maybe with your more clarity on the function of the LLC in regards to these positions, so then that we can make the best suited appointments that for the roles, and we don't just do that now, so that without really having clarity, there's another board member that is not present today from the TPAA board that, you know, can be considered maybe for one of those roles, and that allows for a discussion on that. But since it seems that the LLC are not critical at this time to appoint, we haven't had them, it seems, in the past, and
But what we need to do is appoint the.
foundation ones, yes, that's what I'm saying,
Exactly,
do
yeah.
that now, and then the
So-
LLC ones
What do you think
at
about
a
that, Laura?
later date.
I think that's fine. I mean, in the operating agreement, it specifically says the management of the business and assets are vested solely in the sole member, which is the foundation. So I think it's more important to have those officers in place for the foundation. And then that would give me time to work with you all as to what we need the officers for the LLC. I also would say that in the operating agreement, it also has that the powers and the duties of the officers are also determined by the foundation. So that again gives you some time to create that situation. And the reality is if something did pop up, we could do a unanimous written consent for the foundation to put an officer in place if we needed to. So, you know, I think it's fine to do either way, honestly. As the LLC.
And do what was done earlier?
Say that one more time, Gina.
Do we need to undo what was done earlier, the selection they made earlier?
No, it just wasn't the appropriate body, so you don't need to do anything formal.
So we just need to pick the three. Marty, you okay not doing being CFO? Or nominate Marty CFO?
That's fine.
I nominate David to be the president.
And I nominate Ellen to be secretary.
Sure.
So it'll be Marty Lopez as CFO, Ellen McIsaac as secretary, and myself as president.
Okay, so that's the motion. We just need a motion.
Can I have a motion?
That we elect David Lujan as the president of the foundation, Marty Lopez as the CFO of the foundation, and I guess I'll say my whole name, Ellen McIsaac as secretary of the foundation.
I second that motion. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, we're good.
So this adjourns the meeting of the Palmdale Aerospace Foundation.
Thanks, Laura.
You're welcome. Happy holidays, everyone.